Today, once again on the channel, we get to see the common clay of the earth.
What's that?
You know, morons. Hi friends, welcome to today's bonus badge cam lesson here at Active Self-Protection. I'm your host, John Correa, and with me, career law enforcement officer Mike Williver.
Today's video comes to us from Los Angeles, California.
At Active Self-Protection, we trust several excellent holster makers. Filster, Dark Star Gear, Henry Holsters, Black Arch Holsters, and KSG Armory all make incredible CCW holsters, and 09 Solutions makes fantastic duty gear for law enforcement officers. Check them out at the link in the description for all your holster needs. Officers are in the area investigating a number of auto thefts, and they see some guys that they want to talk to. Let's listen in on the badge cam.
What's going on, boss? Okay, is this your car?
No, my girlfriend.
Your girlfriend?
Yeah, can we get the cell phone real quick?
Okay. You have your ID on you?
No, I still not in the room. Can we go grab it real quick?
No, hang on a sec.
Just because you don't have a license.
Oh, she has it in the inside there.
Oh, in the car?
Yeah, right here. Like, sorry, can I?
Well, hold on.
Just, you're good. Just don't go in your pockets.
Okay.
You,
It's in the
come
room.
over here real quick. What's your girlfriend's name?
Brenda.
Brenda?
Yeah.
Alright, just get close up right here. You go, wait.
Oh.
Hang on. No weapons on you?
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna pat you down real quick. You know? Hey, I'm gonna fucking shoot you, bro. Hey! Hey! Stop! Officer needs help, shots fired. Officer needs help. Hey, get the gun! Get the gun! Officer needs help, shots.
This surveillance footage also shows the guy turn around and point his gun at the officer, and that's when the officer shoots at him. The guy falls down, but he isn't hit. He actually runs off here with the gun in hand. That's why the officer shoots at him several more times. After getting shot at a bunch, the dude yeeted his cannon out into the middle of the street. The officer did recover that. They put out a big perimeter for the guy, did not catch him there, but he was apprehended a little bit later. He was a felon in possession. He is facing a cornucopia of charges, and let's think about lessons.
Now, I would say that is some authentic frontier gibberish right there. Holy crap. Let's get to some lessons.
Mike, I'm not a cop, but literally from the second these guys jumped out of the car, it sure seemed to me this dude was like a cat on a hot tin roof.
Yeah, there's nothing that these officers haven't seen before. And this guy, clearly, from the minute they step out, he's stammering, he's stuttering, he's nervous, he's moving around, he's trying to deflect, he's using delay tactics. So yeah, absolutely. They knew this guy was up to something.
And so, I mean, do you think that, again, they're looking for burglars, you know, car burglars and car thieves and those things? And I think they soft played this one a little bit about not getting him in cuffs quickly.
Yeah, you know, I gotta tell you, someone's acting this nervous. You've been called there because there's car break-ins. You see this guy lurking around the parking lot near an expensive car, and he's delaying you, and he's being nervous. Now's a good time to just grab this guy and go, hey, you know, you're being detained for a second. No big deal. We can, you know, these cuffs can come off, all that sort of thing. Because had that been done, had they not played it quite so soft, we might have avoided all this nonsense that ensued.
I do also want to talk about this verbiage, and I get it, we're picking nits here, right? So we're splitting hairs, and I totally understand that. But you notice the officer asked a question that expected a negative answer. He said, no weapons on you, and that expects an answer. So the guy gave him the answer that he primed him for, which was a lie. No weapons on you? Nope, sure don't. Well, we know he does have a weapon on him, which is why I would prefer to ask the more leading question, what weapons do you have on you, rather than lead him to lie to me with a question like no weapons on you.
I prefer what do you have on you and just leave it open-ended. And usually when you ask the question, what do you have on you, the person will do a tell. They'll reach towards where the thing is they don't want you to find, or they'll look in that direction. Also, it's worth noting that it was after he asked this question about weapons that the guy fled immediately. So that in law enforcement terms is a clue that since you asked about weapons and then he split, that might be an indication he has a weapon on him.
Yeah, so it's just a thought about that verbiage. Make sure you're thinking about what words am I using here, because they matter. Now the guy goes ahead and, you know, he's like, oh, I'm gonna pat you down. Nope, I'm gone and I'm off. Now the officer draws his gun. Another thing, again, I get it. This guy's trying to effect an arrest here, but language matters, and I don't think it helps you when you're caught on badge cam. Hey, bro, I'm effing gonna shoot you. I get it in the heat of the moment. I'm not mad at him for doing that. He's a grown man. He's talking to a violent guy who's, you know, drawing a gun while he's running away from him. But I just think that it's not going to affect any behavior. And so therefore, I would recommend that you choose simple positive actions you want him to do. Drop it, stop, put your hands up, something like that.
Yeah, first of all, that's a long sentence to say when you're trying to get through to somebody. Like you said, stop, stop, don't move, drop it, are much simpler commands. This guy's under stress right now. He was hyped up before he started running. The other thing is, I want to bust a myth here. The comments will be littered with, oh, if you were never in the field, that's the only language these folks understand, these criminals, yada, yada, yada. Not really. No, you can just use regular words and use them forcefully like you mean them. And A, you're going to sound more professional. And B, you won't end up with a civil jury later on mincing over your words about, I'm going to F and shoot you, bro, potentially causing you some liability down the road.
It's just little stuff like this that, again, it gets caught on the badge cam that we can kind of do better. Now, of course, we're going to see the officer here start taking some shots at the guy. And I do want to note here that this particular one where we can see the perp right way out here, he is probably a good 25 yards from the officer at this point. Now, we're going to talk about why he would continue to shoot at this guy a little bit later. But for now, that's a pretty spicy shot for most people, Mike.
You got it. We say it all the time. Your marksmanship skills are paramount, and that first shot is usually your best shot. I would like to have seen, again, we're Monday morning quarterbacking, right? That's what we do here. I would have loved to have seen him stop, get a shooting stance, and aim in. Of course, this shot is completely justified. As we know now, he had a gun aimed at him at one point, even if he's still running away. He's pointed a gun at the cops. He's going to point a gun at the next person he runs into or the next cop he runs into. So the shot's justified. I would like to have seen him take be a little bit more deliberate with this first shot.
Yeah, and I think on this last one, not the first shot. So the first shots, he was rushing through. This last one, he kind of posted up a little bit, stopped a little. You can see two-handed grip on the gun, two-handed, two-footed stance. So he did try to kind of get himself a little bit more stability and a little bit more deliberateness. Not quite enough to get the hit that he needed, and that's a rough shot. I do like that he did communicate with his partners. Remember, you've got everything you need to solve the problem with you. As you do need to get some folks there. I get it, but. I would stay off and away from the handheld rather than a pork chop. Now, here's where we see what really happened. So thank God for the surveillance footage in this particular one that you can see the guy turned and pointed his gun at this officer. He's trying to get away, but now he's going to still shoot. I do think a couple things. Number one, this is why people get shot in the back. We always hear this all the time. Well, why did he shoot a guy in the back? This is exactly why you'd shoot a guy in the back. Because he's turned around and pointed a gun at you. Number two, why would you chase a fleeing felon, and why might you shoot a fleeing felon? Because they do stupid stuff like this.
We say it all the time. It's not what we shoot, it's why we shoot, or what part of the body we shoot. It's the reason for us pressing the trigger on a bad guy. And this guy is clearly was attempting to murder this officer. I don't know why he didn't shoot, but he didn't. But that's beside the point. And the fact is he's committed aggravated assault on a police officer now, and he is still armed as far as that officer knows. Therefore, he needs to be stopped, and the use of deadly force is absolutely justified in this situation.
And I also think it's interesting that our officer, he had a gun in hand before this, but he didn't shoot the guy before this. When the guy's just running off, the officer's just chasing him and has the gun in hand. It's when he turns and points the gun. This is yet, I think, another instance where what we see is we see an officer that does the right thing. He only shoots at him when he really has to, not when maybe he has justification to. And I think that goes to good training on when to shoot and when not to shoot.
And as I said before, he ran right after being asked, do you have any weapons on you, or however he phrased it, and I'm going to pat you down. That's when he ran. So this officer knew probably immediately he has at least some kind of deadly weapon on him. So him having his gun out was probably a good idea.
Another interesting point here, I think, is you see the perp fall while the officer is chasing him. And I bet that officer thought, okay, I hit him there, and that's what put him down. But a good reminder that just because somebody goes down does not mean they're out of the fight. This guy just basically fell over his feet. So we're always watching, not are they up, are they down, anything like that. We're watching their behavior to determine what we do in order to stop that behavior. I think it's a good point to think about that idea. We don't run up on them right when they go down. Because again, in this particular case, he literally just tripped over his feet. He was not hit by this gunfire. Now, back to the idea again of solid marksmanship fundamentals being critically important is a big thing. Now, again, this is why we see the officer then come up. And I will say again, you can see him kind of post up here and get some good shots and then continue on and looking. I do want to ask again, so he's in the fight and he's hard in the fight, but you see his partner kind of just, bringing up the rear kind of casual like. And it seems that there's one officer here who's got a pretty big drive and one officer here who's going, I'm just going to kind of hold back on this one. So I think in an overall sense, I think these officers did a really good job. I think that he only fired when he had to. I think marksmanship really is the key. You'd have preferred to put this guy down rather than catch him a couple of weeks down the road, especially after he pointed a gun at you. But good communication. They did what they needed to do. These guys were pretty squirrely, but I think these officers covered their ass.